In today's Preachers Creatures video, we're going to talk molds. Which ones do I like? Which ones do I love? Which ones would I probably not have bought if I knew then what I know now? Stick around, we'll get set up, and hope you enjoy the video. Hey guys, just a quick announcement before we get started with the main part of the video. I had set out to do maybe a 20-minute video, and the video ended up taking over an hour and 20 minutes. And so I'm going to break it up into segments. I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet, but just wanted to do that to make it a little bit more user-friendly. And I'll be releasing those out in, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 maybe. But I hope you enjoy the comment. If you do, or the comments, let me know in the if you enjoy the content, let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions about the molds that I'm showing, just drop those down and I'll get to them and give you any information I need. I'm hoping to cover about as thorough as I can, but at the same time, I know there's always a question that I might miss. So anyway, thanks again. We're up over 400 subscribers. I appreciate it so much. Hopefully we'll be over 500 for long, maybe even over 1,000, and just continue to grow the channel. And so please continue to share and hit that like, and if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. It really helps out a lot. So we'll see you on the flip side, and hope you enjoy this series of videos. We're getting moldy. Alright guys, as we showed in the little teaser clip at the beginning, we're going to be talking about molds. The ones that I have, why I bought them, what I was thinking at the time, and what I like about them, what I may not like about them, and would I buy them again today if I knew then what I know now. And I'm bringing up this 2.5-inch Fluke mold because if I remember correctly, I think this was the first mold that I bought. And it's a decent mold. It's a do-it mold. I'm going to probably show all my do-it molds first, and then move. I'm going to try to do it in the arrangement that I purchased them. When I first got into this hobby, I was just getting into it for myself, and I just thought it was something I would enjoy. We ran through a period of time where some fishing tackle, terminal tackle, lead, those kinds of things was hard to get, and because of the politics of the day, not putting it on anybody, but the result of politics where it made it illegal for us to manufacture lead here in the United States. And then when that happened, and I went to Bass Pro to get some split shot sinkers so that I could take my nieces out fishing, and there was no lead anywhere in my home state. And I made the drive down there about an hour plus, probably close to an hour and 15 minutes from my house, because nowhere around here had it. And when I went in there and saw the shelves just loaded with the tackle boxes because all the lead items were gone, it triggered something in me that's like, you know what, I do my own reloading, so that I don't have to worry about if ammo's on the shelves. I'm going to do my own, I'm going to make it to where I can go fishing if I want to go fishing. And so I bought a lead pot, and then I got some lead molds so I could make my own jig heads, that kind of thing. And of course, if you're going to make your own jigs, then, why not make your own plastics so that you can have that, have what you need. And so that's what I did. And I believe this is the mold that I started out with. I felt like it was a good mold that I could use for crappie fishing because of the size. It's a 2.5-inch mold. Let me grab a 2.5-inch bait, and so you can see there from the tip of the tail to the tip of the nose, 2.5 inches there. And I felt like it was a bait that I could use whether I was crappie fishing or panfish. You know, I could always cut it down some, or if I was going to maybe even try bass fishing. I'm not a bass fisherman. I'm not, you know, I've caught more bass on crappie jigs and stuff since I started making my own baits while I was crappie fishing than I probably have caught in my entire life as a kid growing up and fishing with my dad. We always crappie fished, walleye, some catfish, that kind of stuff. But the reason I bought this bait mold first is I felt like it was a good kind of in between bait, and it's a decent bait. I'm not gonna trash it. I typically fish with a 2-inch, give or take, you know, minnow style or a tube jig for crappie. But I just felt like this was a good place to start. And you know, at first I did buy just the mold. Later I did add the tail mold, and I have to be honest, and it's probably more user error than anything, but I have had some issues early on with the tails separating from these if a fish bite it. And again, it's probably on my end because early on I was just shooting baits and happy if they come out without bubbles or dents or anything like that. It does have a ridge here in the tail mold that is going to fit, and so it should if you run it hotter. And that's what I probably didn't do. I probably did not, when I put these tails in the mold, I probably did not run it as hot as I should have because I just didn't know. And that caused some of the failures. I will say this, this tail mold is pretty, you know, I've run some of these just to use as baits, as standalones, because they're, let's see here, let's get a measurement on there. They're right at 1.5 inches. And so if you're looking for a little, almost like a little bait fish, those aren't bad. They do well suited up to a jig head. Would I buy this mold again, knowing what I know now? The honest answer is probably not. Just because, there's nothing wrong with the mold, just because it doesn't fit my style of fishing the way some of these other molds do. And I think if we're going to be honest, we just have to throw it out there. This is a great bait, and it's not so much the mold as the style of bait. There's nothing wrong with this bait. It just does not fit the style of fishing that I do like I thought it would. And so that being said, I encourage you, if you're getting started in this hobby, get a mold that you already feel confident in fishing. If you fish Bobby Garland minnow type mold or type baits, then get you a 2-inch minnow bait mold that is going to be close to that, and then you can just worry about the colors. It's a confidence thing as well. Have I caught fish on these? Yes, I have. I've caught I have caught fish on them. As a matter of fact, I think in the outro video on my videos, I think I actually have a picture of a fish that I caught with one. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. It may just be in my personal photos. Anyway, I'm rambling, but would I buy this again? No, I don't think I would. And the reason is it's just a little bit too big for what I normally would fish. And why would I not? Well, I wouldn't because of, let me find it. I wouldn't because of molds like this. The 2-inch crappie crusher. Okay. And this is one of my most recent molds. This is more like what I'm used to fishing, and we'll talk about it more. But the reason I wouldn't buy this is because if I knew then what I know now, I would have bought the Crappie Crusher, or I would have bought something similar to it. Now, and you're going to have to hang with me because I'm having to dig through. So this is also a 2.5 inch bait, but it's more of a minnow style. And so for the type of fishing I do, this is probably more geared towards what. So if I was going to buy a 2.5 inch bait, I would have bought this instead of this, knowing what I know now. However, let me just say this. The Do It molds are a great introduction budget molds, and at the time I really didn't know how much I was going to put into it. And so if you're on a budget, the Do It molds are good quality molds for the budget. Now, are they going to have the fit and finish like Epic Bait molds or some of these other, or Anglin AI? No, they're not necessarily going to have that fit and finish. They do have some that are a little bit more expensive, but they you're going to pay, and just like you would the others. Now, let me put these two out here, because these are some good molds. Again, fit and finish. You look at the Sandcast mold there versus your Epic Bait molds. I mean, just slick, shiny, beautiful. And this is a little rough. Now, the thing about it is, you know, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this bait. I've caught fish off of it, and for somebody that's not a bass fisherman, you know, I've caught bass off of it. I got this mold. It's the 3.5 inch Ripper from Do It Molds. The reason I got this mold is because I felt like it would be a good mold for coastal fishing. A good swim bait mold. It is nice. It's not fit and finished. You know, it's a Sandcast mold, but it gets the job done, and it's got a ton of action. I also purchased this 2.5 inch Little Ripper, and it does a great job for the for what it is. Now, this is a little bit more finished, while this one's not. The problem I have with this mold is 3 cavities, and they do sell a mold that is more. When I started into this and I was just going to make baits for my own personal use, 3 cavities was no big deal. When I started thinking, you know what, I probably need to maybe start trying to sell some of this so I can afford the hobby. I thought, wow, you know, I started having people requesting these, and you're talking about shooting 3 baits at a time, and it just takes a while to fill an order. So with this one, I bought 2 more molds like this, so, you know, I'm getting 9, but I was selling more of these at the time. These not so much, but they do good. They fill out well. And but would I buy them now, knowing what I know now? Would I buy them again? And I hate to say it, but the answer is probably not. The reason is, and again, it all goes to budget. If this is what you can afford, they work great. If you're buying for your personal use, so you don't need to be making, you know, 15, 20, 30 swim baits at a time, then these are good molds. The reason I probably wouldn't buy them again today is simply because of volume. You have to, you know, they do have a mold that has more of these 3 inchers. Another thing that I don't like about this, and it's just one of those things, the way the baits are oriented in the mold, you cannot laminate these baits top and bottom. And so that's another issue, that there's better options out there. It's a good budget option, and so if that's what you're looking for, then these are perfect for that. If you're looking to sell, you're either going to have to buy a bunch of these to make enough for in a run, or you're going to be heating plastic up, shooting baits, heating plastic up, shooting baits, and it takes a long time. If you got a bad back and your feet hurt like me, it's not going to be as fun a hobby if you're having to do that. Okay, so let's move to the next mold. All right, here we have the 1-inch Nano fry, and we have the lamination plate. And the lamination plate, excuse me, simply clamps. It clamps into your mold, and you can see it's got a indentation right there so that you know where to put it here. So what you have to do is put that there, and then clamp your mold, shoot this, and then when you're done, you take this off, and what you have is half, well, it's actually a little more than half of your bait, but it has a flat top. And then you close this, clamp it, shoot your bait, and it fills in the rest right here. Okay, so the issue is it does shoot good. It shoots easy. It doesn't take hardly any plastic whatsoever. If you're into ice fishing or bluegill fishing, pan fishing, this is a good little bait. It's for what I do. And I'm only, Western North Carolina, foothills North Carolina. I can use this for bluegill. But that little part right there is all the color, the separate color you're going to get from this. And to be honest with you, it's not very much, and so it's like a little dot almost on top of this. Would I buy this one again? The answer is no, simply because the type of fishing I do and want to do, it's not something that I don't think I've had anybody purchase this type bait from me. And it's not something that I have used outside of trying to catch little brim in a creek. That's not going to hold fish any bigger than that right there. So I have caught some fish off of it, but it's something I don't hardly ever use. Another thing that's difficult is finding jig heads small enough to use with it. I happen to have a jig head mold that has a 1/80th and a 1/100th of an ounce, and so I can make jigs that fit this. I didn't realize how small it was going to be, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, some people may complain because I don't have examples of the baits that these make, or any of these, but you're just going to have to, I'm not trying to be mean. I didn't have the time. I'm trying to shoot this video as quickly as I can because I've got some church business I got to take care of, and that's my priority. But the baits from top to bottom, they are only, maybe a quarter of an inch. And then the meaty part of the bait is so small this way. It's really difficult to find, a jig head that works with these. Now, I will say this: you can probably do like a drop shot or a split shot rig where you just use a tiny hook, maybe a trout hook, something like that, and that's fine. But for me personally, I probably would not purchase this one again. Okay, now let's get into this one. This is the Do It 2-inch Beetlebug, and this is what it looks like inside. It does have a tail mold, and I'm going to try to find it. Let's see here. Not that one. Right here. It does have a tail mold. Tail mold does real well, and it shoots the tail from this point back. Okay. This is a good mold. This is a good bait. This is good for crappie, for bluegill. The biggest shell cracker I've ever caught, I caught on this 2-inch Beetlebug. And one of the things I like about it is you have the appearance of 2 inches, but these are so thin, and they have so much motion and going through the water. They're a good bait. But you can, when you rig them up, you get the hook is going to be back here. And so it's real easy to catch fish on this bait because where the hook is at, and you don't have a lot of material back here. I know, minnow baits, Bobby Garlands, things like that, that tail's real small and slim, and it don't, same effect, but it's just, it's a good bait. And you can get this tail mold and have you 2 colors, or you can laminate it. I really like this bait, and I think it's a good change up, and it's something that a lot of times I don't think people throw a lot of these. I haven't seen a lot of this style. I may be wrong, but you got like your trout magnets that have the twin tails. But the crappie magnets, but those are always, they seem to be very stiff. Where there's a lot of action. Would I buy this mold again? Absolutely. I would buy this mold again, and I'm glad I've got it in my arsenal. And so that is the Do It mold, 2-inch Beetlebug, and the tail mold. And I think I picked up that tail mold. They were running a sale that I think I got it for half price, or they were running a special. If you buy the mold, you get the tail mold for X amount. And so, all right, 2.5-inch Mojo. Mojo Magic is the name of this one. And it's a very simple bait. The tails are very flat. And this is basically almost, it's almost like a Tylenol pill-shaped head. It's not round. It's flat from top to bottom. How to describe it? It's not cylindrical, but it's not like pancake flat either. You can rig this thing. I see it top to bottom the way it is here, but also you can rig it with top to bottom here. It does laminate. It laminates pretty good. If you wanted to, you can take these out, clip the tails, put the tails back in. I don't know if they make a tail mold for this. They might, but it's a decent bait, and it has a lot of tail action, and it's. I'll be honest with you, it's probably 50-50 as to if I would buy it again. I like the bait, but I'll be honest with you, I just don't use it a lot because I have the others that look like minnows. I bought this at a time where my budget was not, it was just, for the money, it was good bait and a good buy. I don't know that I would buy it again, but I know this, I would buy it before I would buy the 2-inch little ripper, or the 3-inch ripper, and I would definitely buy it before I would the little Nano fry. So take that into consideration. It's not a lot of detail to it, but it does move around pretty good. And to be honest with you, I just haven't fished it a lot, and so I really don't know how good it fishes. I have read some comments when I was looking to buy it. Some people were saying that it's their go-to bait in certain areas. So, you know, it is what it is, and that's. I may not give you any information on it other than to confuse you, but I'll be honest with you, I'm a little confused as to whether I would buy it or not. I put it like this. Now, I guess this would be the way to determine. If I had the money back from this and I could put it with a little more money and buy something like the Crappie Crusher, I would go with the Crappie Crusher. And so it's good for budget. I'll leave it at that. Okay, the Do It CC Glider. This is a neat little bait, and it's kind of like the other, the Mojo, 2.5-inch Mojo. I just haven't fished it a whole lot. I will say that I have had some issues with the tails coming off. And again, it's probably my fault. This bait has a tail mold, which I'm trying to find right here. So here's the tail mold, and I think the two issues. Number one is in my inexperience early on, not running it hot enough. But you can also see how there's just not a lot there for the tail to merge with the body of the bait. And I like the design, the concept outside of, there needs to be a ball or something there that as it fills in, it can, I'm sorry, I can't even tell if I'm on camera. Let me show it right here. There needs to be a ball or something on that tail so that as you fill in the body, it surrounds. I know AI does that with a lot of their tail molds, and I think that's a superior design to this. So, it has decent action, but I don't know that I would buy this one again, simply because the tails. Now I'm trying not to beat up these companies, guys. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I like the design of the bait, but I think I bought it to have variety. But then you don't have confidence in it after you have thrown it a couple times and a fish bites it, but they bite the tail off, and then you got to change your bait out. And so it's probably more on my end, but at the same time, I think there's some improvement could be made with this bait. Would I buy it again? I would if the tails had a different way of junctioning and attaching to the body. Okay, here's the next one. This is a Do It Mold 2-inch Rad Tad, and I really like this mold, guys. It's a mold. Here's the tail mold that comes with it. It's a mold that I like it for same thing, panfish. If you need to throw a little something different, if you want something that kind of looks like a cricket, kind of looks like a water strider, kind of, it just, it's not really patterned after any kind of insect. It's only got four legs, but you still got that long tail. It gives good action, and it's a good little panfish bait. The junction point of the mold, of the tail mold, is a little iffy. It's that's the thing. If I was going to be critical of Do It, I think they could do a better job in their attachment design with these tail molds and how they attach. But it's a nice little change up. It's one of those baits that you can kind of match the hatch with some things, but not a bad little mold. Not a bad little mold. Would I buy it again? Probably so. Probably would. Just for like little creek fishing applications, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, this, the 2-inch Helgramite. This is a fish catching bait. And it looks good. If you look at a Helgramite, an actual Helgramite, and the body taper, the legs, the pinchers, just everything about this is a great bait. The problem is you only get 2. And man, how I would love if Do It made this mold. And at the time of filming, to my knowledge, they don't make one that's a larger cavity. But man, if this was a 10 cavity mold, I'm just telling you, it's just a great bait. And I have sold a lot of these. And again, the problem is when you're only making 2 at a time, it drags on and on and on and on. So anyway, but would I buy this one again? I'm going to be as honest with you as I can. As much as I love this bait, and as much as I know it catches fish, I don't think I would buy this again. And I'm going to tell you why. Right there. 2.2-inch caddisfly larva. It's not the same as a Helgramite, but it is very close. And look here, 12 cavity. 12 beautiful cavities. Again, it's not the same, but it is very close. It is close in length. It don't have as many legs as the Helgramite. It doesn't have pinchers up here on the top, but it catches the same fish, and you get 12 cavities, and you can pump the baits out, and it's just, I love this mold. If Do It made this cavity count and this mold in this bait, I would not have bought this one because I would have had the cavity count. The problem is I started selling so many of these, and it was so labor intensive, and I had a choice. Do I try to buy 4, 5, 6 more of these molds, or do I buy one that has the cavity count? And so that's what I did. I bought this one for the cavity count. And so would I buy this again? No. Would I buy it again if it came in a 12 count? I would have bought the 12 count. I would have bought the 12 count. And then I wouldn't have had a need for it. I'm not slamming this. This is an awesome mold. This has saved my rear end because I can crank the baits out. And so you see what I'm saying? If this would have had a better cavity count, I would not have had to buy this mold. But because you only get 2 per shot, I didn't want to have to set up 6 different molds and clamp and all that stuff just so I could get the numbers that I needed. And the same thing with this. This is the 3-inch Helgramite. Great mold, great bait. I tend to use this one more, the smaller one, for like creek fishing and stuff. But I do have a lot of people that like this bait, or have wanted this bait. But I've almost stopped making this one available because the count. You know, give me a mold count with more than 2. I know it's going to cost more, but it's worth it on your feet and your back. So now I think that is all of my, oh no, I got one more Do It mold. one more Do It mold here. And this is a good little mold. It's a 3-inch trout worm. Okay, 3-inch trout worm. It's 10 cavity, and for the size, it, you know, you can crank out a lot of baits. Doesn't take a lot of plastic, and it's a good little bait if you or a good little mold if you are in an area where people like to trout fish and use trout worms. Then that's a decent bait, and you know, you don't have to worry about buying those trout worms in the store, and you can customize them. And so if you have an area that where you can use trout worms and they bite them, then right there you go. It's good mold, and so I can suggest that mold. Okay guys, that's going to wrap up the Do It mold portion of the video, and hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Again, if you have any questions of anything I didn't cover, put it down in the comments below. We'll get to it. If you notice the theme, the ones that I would not have bought again, it tended to do more with the cavity count of the mold. And just to be honest, at the time, I didn't know what all bait companies, mold companies were out there. I didn't really know my options. I just I'd bought Do It mold, lead molds in the past. And so that was kind of my reference point. And so when I noticed their plastic molds, because I was on their webpage looking at lead jig molds and things like that. So just to give you information on my starting point, that's why I started out with Do It molds. And I said it throughout the video, if I knew then what I know now, well, given that point of reference, I did not know of the other plastic bait mold companies, and so that's why I started with Do It. And they're good molds. I'm not going to trash them, but I did not know where I was going to be in the process now when I started out. And so anyhow, hope you got something out of it, and we'll see you in the next video. Appreciate you liking and subscribing.